So let me ask you guys a question. If, let's say, I dropped 300 inbound leads into your system right now, who's the person that you guys would assign to call that individual? Now, let's also say I dropped 300 age leads from 2 years ago, leads that never closed, or, leads that barely remember you guys. Would you guys assign the same rep to call them? Well, the reason why I ask that is because most companies would, right? And they would use the exact same script. They would expect the call to have the exact same flow. And I've even found that they would compensate their reps the exact same way for those two different calls. And then they ask me why their outbound doesn't convert. Well, the reality is that an old lead requires a completely different skill set than an inbound lead. And if you train for it, if you build the right muscles for the reps, then they're actually going to be easier to close. And I'll be able to explain why to you guys in this video. Now, with these kind of age leads, right, the urgency that they had when they actually were kind of a fresh inbound lead is gone. They're not kind of feeling that same pain spike, and it's not oftentimes the same kind of active problem that made them actually fill out that form in the first place. This is true. So the reps, they can't kind of lean on the feelings of kind of project excitement or, competitive pressure like they do when they're actually on an inbound call. There's only kind of one way to make these old leads actually stick as appointments. And to do that, the rep needs to create urgency from scratch. So what's the actual process of training a rep to convert those kind of old age leads that a lot of you guys say are, dead? Well, it starts with this sequence. You want to connect first, then you want to ask curious questions, then you want to reopen the pain, then book. So most reps often start with, hey, just following up to see if you guys are still interested. But unfortunately, as you guys probably know, that doesn't work, especially when the lead hasn't heard from you guys all months or years, right? Because your goal is not to kind of revive interest in of itself, because again, as an old lead, their interest is gone, their urgency is gone. So you need to kind of restart the conversation, and that's your initial goal. So the right approach is, in my opinion at least, is to start with kind of a neutral, not kind of a pitchy line, and it will kind of sound something like this. Hey, so-and-so, calling from so-and-so company. Just calling up about the kitchen project. Did you guys end up going ahead with that, or did the timing not work out, right? Then from there, your rep should be able to kind of probe lightly. Again, not to sell, but just to resurface that reason why they didn't move forward. Because at the time, maybe it was price, their spouse may have not been on board. It could have just been a bad timing thing because of a variety of reasons. But once that actual true reason's on the table, then your rep has something to work with. Because through this process, your rep isn't necessarily going to be selling the product at this moment in time. They're just giving the lead a second chance to kind of revisit that project that they were already invested in a little while ago. So it means that you don't need to apply pressure necessarily with a hard close, but instead you just need to kind of resurface that pain. And then once you've done that, which we've spoken about in other videos, you can then, re-enter softly by saying something like, okay, sounds good. If it'd be helpful, we can kind of have somebody stop by and we can kind of relook at the quote just to see if anything's changed since then. And, when reps lead like that, rehash becomes a little bit more predictable, because being able to reactivate old leads, it's a literal skill, and it's kind of a muscle that needs to be taught and worked out correctly. But if you do have the training in place and, do give the reps the, opportunities to work the muscle, then it really does work. And the ironic part with old leads is that once you actually get them booked onto the calendar and you actually run the demo, the old lead is actually going to be significantly more likely to close than a brand new, quote unquote, smoking hot lead that every single business owner is running around trying to find so badly these days. And the reason why is because no one else is talking to them, right? They're not getting 5 quotes from 5 different companies. They're not bouncing between 4 websites or visiting 2 different showrooms. They're not going to be comparing you guys to anybody else. Instead, they're just going to be deciding whether they want to engage with you or not. And like we've discussed, if your rep knows how to kind of spark those feelings of re-engagement, if they know how to generate urgency again, then not only are you going to win the lead, but you're also going to be able to control the environment that you're selling in, which everybody wants to be able to do. And that's why a properly trained outbound rep is going to generate cleaner, higher margin deals, even though those leads are quote unquote dead, as a lot of you guys say. But again, this only works if you actually train the skill set. And it's not just the scripts, you actually need to train the skills. So you need reps that understand the process and the science around, sparking urgency, and to be able to kind of steer these more dormant and, colder conversations into real tangible pipeline. And as a business, that's exactly what we do, right? We build and train outbound teams to recover back-end revenue from leads that you guys have already paid for, whether they're 90 days old or in some cases, even 9 years old, right? So if you as a business are sitting on unclosed leads and you want to, see how we approach it, then shoot me a message. I'll walk you through the entire process, no problem. And, whether you guys work with us or you don't end up working with us, it is important that you do remember this. Old leads being old isn't going to be the problem for you guys. I promise you. If you guys aren't closing leads that are from, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months ago and beyond, it's because you have untrained reps. So if you fix that, your CRM, the data that's in there, is going to become, one of the biggest profit centers in your entire business overnight. And again, if this was useful, make sure to follow the page. I'm going to be dropping videos like this every single week. Thank you very much for watching. I'll speak to you guys soon.